Behind every mask lies a truth. But what if that mask isn't just a disguise, but a way to live two entirely different lives? John Wayne Gacy wasn't just a man, he was a paradox. By day, he was a beloved neighbor, a successful businessman, and even a performer who brought joy to children, as Pogo the Clown. By night, he became something far more sinister, a predator lurking in the shadows, hiding his true face beneath layers of charm. Today, we uncover the twisted duality of a man who seemed to embody the American dream, but instead became one of history's most infamous serial killers. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll question just how well you truly know the people around you. The early life of a monster. John Wayne Gacy was born on March 17, 1942 in Chicago, Illinois. From the outside, he seemed destined for a normal, even successful life. But inside the Gacy household, darkness was already brewing. Gacy endured a childhood marked by abuse, criticism, and a father who seemed to find fault in everything he did. Yet, despite the scars of his upbringing, Gacy grew up determined to prove himself. He wanted to be someone to achieve respectability, but underneath his ambition lay something far darker, a growing hunger that would eventually consume him. It's strange, isn't it? How the quiet kid from next door could one day become a name synonymous with terror. Makes you think twice about who lives down your street. The rise of a model citizen. As Gacy entered adulthood, he seemed to flourish. He climbed the ranks in local politics, started a successful construction business, and was even named Man of the Year by the local Jaycees. But there was another side to Gacy's story. Beneath the surface, there were whispers, accusations of inappropriate behavior, and rumors that Gacy wasn't the man he appeared to be. And then, in 1968, Gacy's carefully constructed facade began to crack. He was arrested for sexually assaulting a teenage boy, leading to a prison sentence that should have changed the course of his life. But instead, it only made him more dangerous. The double life begins. After serving just 18 months of a 10-year sentence, Gacy was released on parole. He returned to Chicago, determined to rebuild his life and his image. He became known as the life of the party, hosting neighborhood barbecues and even dressing up as Pogo the Clown to entertain children. People adored him. But behind the makeup and the smiles, Gacy had already begun hunting. His victims were often young men and boys, lured in with promises of work or kindness, only to disappear into the void of Gacy's dark intentions. Now let's pause here for a second. A clown who's also a serial killer? Sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, right? But this was no fiction. It was a nightmare unfolding in real life. The Killing Spree. Between 1972 and 1978, John Wayne Gacy committed atrocities that would horrify even the most seasoned investigators. Victim after victim vanished, many of them marginalized youths whose disappearances often went unnoticed. Gacy had perfected his routine: charm them, lure them, and then the unthinkable. He would trick his victims into wearing handcuffs, claiming it was part of a magic trick. But once the cuffs were on, the horror would begin. And here's the most chilling part. Gacy didn't just kill his victims, he buried them. But not in some remote location. No, he hid them closer than anyone could imagine. The House of Horrors. Police were already suspicious of Gacy, but it wasn't until they executed a search warrant at his home in December 1978 that the true scope of his crimes came to light. Beneath his suburban home, they discovered a crawlspace filled with horror. 29 bodies buried in shallow graves. The stench of decay was overpowering, the evidence undeniable. But Gacy remained calm, even arrogant. He denied everything at first, but as the evidence piled up, his mask of charm began to slip. It's almost unfathomable, isn't it? How someone could live their daily life, hosting parties, shaking hands, smiling, while literally standing above a mass grave, the trial, and the truth. Gacy's trial was one of the most sensational in history. The details of his crimes shocked the nation, and his defense team argued insanity. But the jury saw through it. They saw the cold, calculated nature of his actions, the planning, the manipulation, the utter lack of remorse. In March 1980, Gacy was found guilty of 33 murders, making him one of the most prolific serial killers in U.S. history. He was sentenced to death, but not before giving chilling interviews where he dismissed his victims as worthless. And even in prison, Gacy found a way to keep his masks, becoming an artist and painting clowns. The Legacy of Fear. John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection in 1994, but his story didn't end there. His case raised serious questions about how society treats marginalized communities, how predators hide in plain sight, and how we define evil. And perhaps the most haunting question of all, how many more John Wayne Gacys are out there, wearing masks we can't see through? A final reflection. Gacy's story is more than a tale of horror. It's a reminder of the duality of human nature. The masks we wear can hide our true selves, but they can't erase the consequences of our actions. As you turn off this video and go about your day, take a moment to reflect. What lies beneath the masks of those around you? Thank you for watching. If this story gripped you as much as it did me, make sure to like, subscribe, and share.